Welcome to Ginny's, where East meets West, and a slice of Eastern philosophy becomes a part of Western thinking. I'm your host, Ginny Gong. My first guest and her father made history as the first father-daughter team to not only compete, but end up as second-place winners in CBS's competitive reality show, The Amazing Race. Over the course of the show, they circumvented the globe and had experiences that covered an entire spectrum. Here to share some of the ups and downs that were fully visible to tens of thousands of spectators is one half of the team. Join me in welcoming Christina Sue. Welcome, Christina.
Thank you, Ginny.
All I can say is, wow. I mean, I followed your journey, and unfortunately your dad's not able to be with us. He's in Seattle. So maybe we could begin by showing a picture of the two of you at the race.
Sure.
Now I also know that congratulations are in order because you were nominated as favorite reality star for the Asian Excellence Awards?
Right. My dad and I are very honored with that nomination. We're very excited.
Well, we wish you a lot of luck.
Thank you.
Let's take a look and think about what are your immediate thoughts about the race now that it's over?
Well, now that the race is over, thinking back about it and how it was such a whirlwind of a trip, we really are just incredibly grateful. I mean, it was truly a magic carpet ride. It was a once-in-a-lifetime chance to travel the world together, but ultimately become closer. And whenever we think or talk about the race, we are just filled with incredible happiness and wonderful memories.
And in terms of this show, how did you even, think to be a part of it? How did you get interested in it? What happened so that you're finally on the show?
Well, it's a funny story. My dad and I, we were unable to spend that much time together when I was a child because my dad, he sacrificed a lot to provide for our family. But the two things we really did bond on were a love for travel and The Amazing Race. And around...
So you were fans.
We were fans. We were diehard fans. Around 2004, my father called me one day. He said, "You should check out this show. It's on CBS. It's called The Amazing Race." And we watched it, and we would talk with each other after each show, and say how we would choose this challenge over the other. And so I told him in 2004, we should apply. And at that time, I had just entered graduate school. He said, "We'll only apply if you graduate first." And I knew I would receive my degree in 2007. So back in 2004, we wrote on the whiteboard of our basement family room, Amazing Race 2007, back in 2004. And sure enough, 2007 rolled along, and we put in a very cheesy audition tape, and we applied, and we were chosen. So we feel incredibly happy and grateful for that.
Well, I know that in the beginning, the experience got off to a little bit of a rocky start.
Right.
I know people were saying, boy, her father was yelling at her. I mean, what do you think that was attributed to, and how did that change over the duration of the show?
Well, I believe that was attributed, I would attribute it to lack of sleep and severe hunger. The show is a competition, and my dad, I think he was around 58 during the filming, and he and I, we not only have the generation gap to overcome, but we've never worked together. So those were the issues that I think viewers saw in terms of conflict and teamwork. But ultimately, I think the sleep deprivation and hunger really got to us both. And we both were very grateful, though, again, for those conflicts, because they forced us to talk through our issues. So after the leg in Amsterdam, which we came second to last, we just barely escaped elimination. We sat down, and just talked and talked about how much we want this and how much we want it for each other. And as a result, we were able to progress and keep going. So it did start off on a shaky start, but those are, I guess, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So definitely made us strong and closer.
So did you have a strategy? I mean, is this race is it about brawn, about brains? What is it about?
It's a combination. I mean, for the Amazing Race, you need brains and brawn. You need a lot of endurance. But ultimately, you need luck. So you could be the strongest team there, the smartest team there, but pick the wrong animal for the challenge. You could pick the camel that doesn't have enough milk that you need to drink, and so ultimately it does come down to luck. But I would say a combination of brains, brawn, and endurance as well.
Or you could be getting on a taxi cab, right?
Right.
That gets lost. Tell us about
Exactly,
that, because you
exactly.
indicated we didn't see that on TV.
Right, right. So in the finale, when there's the final roadblock, what viewers saw was that a scene that I guess you would, if one were to just watch the last episode, one would think that we came in second because I stumbled at the roadblock. But in fact, our cab driver, right after the roadblock, drove us 40 minutes out of the way, which is a huge time deficit. And they didn't show that because that would have been, it wouldn't have made sense with the suspense and also the way the show was presented. And ultimately, that was what hurt us. It wasn't the roadblock, it wasn't finding the next clue, but it was a 40-minute cab ride that went the opposite way. And again, that's where luck comes in.
Sure. Now, second place winners. What do you get for second place winners?
Well, we did win a few legs before we finally hit the finish line, and we were lucky enough to get 3 prizes. We came in first in 3 legs, but second place we get a small, token of appreciation. But it's not much. But ultimately what we got is a stronger friendship between my dad and I, and that's priceless. So not coming in, not getting the million, really. A million would have been nice, but it would have just been kind of the cherry on the top. So.
Well, I heard an interview that you had done it for your father. You decided to run this race because you really wanted, to him to be a part of this, and he probably did it for you too.
Exactly. I believe we really ran the race for each other. I think going on reality TV is not something that was on either of our priority lists.
Right.
I think just having the adventure together, having the time. My dad has worked very hard throughout his life, and this was a very rare vacation that he took, and he took it with me, and we signed a contract that said that we could be no less than 20 feet away from each other, so we're guaranteed quality bonding time. So I definitely wanted to get to know him better, but also to just share in a once-in-a-lifetime adventure with him, and ultimately to see him be a carefree person, carefree child. He's worked pretty much all his life, and he really was able to just let go of the burdens in life and race with me, and we had a blast.
Which I could imagine must be very difficult for an elderly Asian American man.
My dad is, he's definitely one of a kind. I mean, I guess he's reaching the elderly age. He's definitely Asian, but no one can really box my dad in. That's what I love about him.
That's great. Reality TV. Is it really reality? I mean, are the things that we see real, or were they planned to look like that?
Everything that you see and you hear was said and filmed at one point. I think very highly of the Amazing Race production team and CBS. They've won Emmys consistently for a reason, and it really is. I think it reflects the high quality of their work. And to answer your question, though, there is an authenticity in reality TV because it is real footage. We were never directed in any way. We were really just followed, and our best points and our worst points were taped. But I mean, I would say that the editing plays a large role. If you can imagine, for one leg, one team has about 13 hours of tape, and all you see is about 40-something minutes of one leg with each, drawn from each team. You don't see the full picture, that's for sure. But I would say it is fairly fun. It is authentic on one hand. On the other hand, there is a scene, I believe, in the Osaka airport right before we're going to Taipei, Taiwan, that is a little edited, and it seems that in this particular scene, it seems as if I'm manipulating a travel agent to not sell tickets to another team, which, in Japan, which is a very rules-oriented society, that would never happen. But they were very the editing team did a great job and made it seem like that. And but you know, it's
TV.
It's TV. It's TV. But
Right.
I would say, you know, being a participant in the show and having so much respect for the camera crews and everyone from, you know, casting to production, they really make a huge effort to make things authentic and a truly fair race. So.
Well, you know, as Asian Americans, we were just so proud to see Asian American faces on a mainstream show like this. How has that impacted you or your family? You know, what does that mean to you?
Well, first of all, thanks for sharing that. I mean, as someone who grew up with less APA representation on TV, I find that it is very important to have more faces out there and more opinions, and it can then expand a greater dialogue and understanding. So for me to be one of those faces was certainly an interesting experience. I don't think I would ever get used to it, but it was wonderful. I mean, the community, the APA community in particular, was so welcoming of my dad and I. We have people stopping us in the street who let us know that, you know, they're just so happy to see us on TV, and hopefully we entertained people and we didn't disappoint them.
You didn't disappoint us at all. You know, we've run out of time, but I want a quick question.
Sure.
You auctioned off your Who's Your Daddy t-shirts
Yes.
and donating the monies to charity.
Right.
What a wonderful thing and what a great thing to do. So congratulations on your journey.
Thank you, Ginny.
And it's been great for us as a community.
Well, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, thank you for joining me. We'll be right back. It's time for us to take a break. Stay tuned.
In nature, we see reflections of our children. The tree is the strong one, the ocean rambunctious and untamed. Like our children, each brings something wonderful and unique. They add color, they bring life. And to choose the sky over the water would be like choosing one child over the next. EarthShare, the world's leading environmental groups working together. To learn how you and your employer can help, visit our website.
This is the story about a group of kids who volunteered.
Doing something nice for someone. We fixed stuff. Did some art projects with the kids. We fixed up his house. We worked in the woods. Cleaned up the park.
Did something for the planet.
We just did it.
No other reason. And you know what? It was great.
At first, they didn't know each other.
Well, that didn't last long.
This guy is really funny.
Me? Ace are my new friends.
Are you into it?
Call 4-H or check out our website at areyouintoit.com.
Welcome back to Ginny's, where East meets West. My next guest is a community activist who has been a resident of Washington, D.C. for more than 15 years. He was appointed chair of D.C.'s Commission on Asian and Pacific Islander Affairs, is president of the Chi-Am Lions Club, and a member of the Chinatown Community Cultural Center. In recognition, he was awarded the Friendship Archway Award in 2003 and the Asian Pacific American Community Award in 2005. He is the owner of one of D.C.'s popular ethnic gathering places, the Burma Restaurant. Let's welcome John Tinpei. Welcome, John.
Hello, Ginny.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Now, I know you're quite an international person. You've lived almost everywhere in the world, and yet you've chosen to make Washington, D.C. your home. Why?
Well, Washington, D.C. is the capital of the world, so I love living in Washington, D.C.
So what are some of your memories of the years that you've spent here in the nation's capital? I know you wear many hats in your role as a community activist. Have you been involved all the time?
Yes, I've enjoyed just the last 15 years being active in the community, being a business person and meeting all wonderful people in all different areas. And I think it's just been great the last 15 years in DC.
So what started you being interested in this? Was there an incident? Did something happen? Or you just,
I think at the time, Washington, D.C. was going through changes 15 years ago, and my business, the restaurant, is located in Chinatown, and Chinatown was going through a lot of different transitions where it was almost to a point where Chinatown was going to disappear. So that's when I felt a sudden strongness towards the neighborhood, Chinatown, and I felt that the community should get together and do something and be active and have a voice for Chinatown. And after that, somebody from the mayor's office contacted me. I was the executive director and asked me to serve on the commission. And then I became part of the commission. And then 2 years later, I became the chair. And I served 2 terms, which was a total of 6 years
and
as
how
chair
large
of the
was
commission.
this commission?
And the commission has 15 people, members, commissioners, and it has really done a good job, I think, in the last 6 years.
Well, I know that Chinatown has gone through many transitions, and actually, most recently, it's almost disappearing, isn't it, before your very eyes? And, even though there are activists like you in the city trying to preserve that culture, it just seems as though modern, the whole economic boom is changing it. Is that true?
This is true. At one point, it was almost dying because there was nothing left. It was just very almost quiet and dangerous. But that it was kind of somewhat of a trade-off in the sense that we got the boom and we got the success because Chinatown isn't right in the center of the Washington, D.C. But at the same time, there are some fewer Asian restaurants and businesses over there, and that is what we're trying to retain and possibly even attract more. But on the good part, it's really booming in the area, and we are able to put up, say, the letters, the names in Chinese characters. We're able to retain that. There's some new developments like we got the Chinatown Community Center, the Chinese Community Church has located into Chinatown, as well as the Asia Liaison Unit is in Chinatown. So it's a big part of the Washington, D.C. Asian community.
Well, but you are Burmese American, right?
This is true.
And, dedicating so much of your energies to the Chinese American community. Right. We actually know very little about the Burmese community and about Burma as a country. What are some of your issues? What are some of the things that are near and dear to you and your countrymen's concerns?
Right. Well, recently Burma has been in the news because of the strive for democracy, which it hasn't had for the last 30 years. And we have, of course, a Nobel Peace Prize winner who's under house arrest in Burma and still is. Wow. And the people, a lot of people have left Burma in terms of refugees as well as political dissidents, and people abroad as well as people in the country strive for democracy. And we hope to work peacefully towards democracy.
And how does that impact, let's say, the Burmese Americans that are here, that are not in Burma? Do they still identify with the issues that are going on there?
I think so very much. The ties are very strong, and a lot of people end up helping, supporting families back home. A lot of times they do still visit members of the family, although their families are probably growing older back in Burma. So the ties are very strong, and even in the United States, they love their own food and they speak their own language and retain their culture. So the ties are very strong between the Burmese emigre over here and as well as the Burmese people back home.
But is it true that a lot of the activities of the community evolve around the monastery? I know some communities it evolves around the church. For others, there might be the grocery store.
This is true, particularly in Montgomery County. The community revolves around the monastery, which is right in the heart of Silver Spring, New Hampshire Avenue, and they have 3 different festivals a year. They have monastery fairs as well as different occasions when the community really comes together. But about once a week, the community gathers around there, and they all eat together. They listen to the sermons of the Buddhist monks, and they have their different festivals.
So as a community, is the monastery more like a religious connection, or is it religious and cultural?
It does have a religious connection for the particular festivals. However, when they have the fairs or the monastery market, then it's all people come together, Burmese and non-Burmese alike. They bring their American friends, and they all come together and they eat and they buy things, and they come to catch up on the old news.
So what is the religion?
It's dominantly Buddhist.
Buddhists. Okay,
yes.
so the monks play a big role.
Right, it's Theravada Buddhist.
The Burmese population in the United States, what percent
But
would
we
you
come
say?
to close to 30,000 now,
Oh, yeah.
and dominantly in the east and west coast.
Okay.
And this area has about, I would say, close to 3,000 in the D.C., Maryland, Virginia area.
And in terms of Washington, D.C., does it have its share of the population?
It has, it probably has the smallest among the 3 areas. Montgomery County probably has the largest, actually.
I know that in the many roles that you've had, one of them was you ran for office in D.C. What about that experience?
That was a great
As an
experience,
Asian American running for office, and you
Right.
know, in an arena where there are very few Asian Americans.
This is true, but I did not run as an Asian American candidate. I just ran as a candidate for my neighborhood, which actually included Chinatown as well. And I thought, I felt there was once again a need to improve the neighborhood. But I was able to do it without being in an official position, actually, because I was able to be organized as well as be part of different community organizations in the neighborhood. So that has worked out well.
So you find that when you ran for that office, being Asian American did not play a role one way or another?
I think it
Do you
worked
think
both
people
ways.
see you as John, or do they see you as John, you know?
I think they saw it both ways, actually. They saw it as sometimes it's a plus, sometimes it's a negative. So.
And any ideas about running again?
I leave that open. If there's a
True
need,
politician,
I would
right?
serve.
That's great. I know you're the recipient of these 2 awards, and certainly, you know, to be given this kind of recognition in Washington, D.C. is really commendable. Tell us a little bit about, you know.
The first one is Allies Building Coalition, which is every month. Now we meet every 3rd Sunday, as actually at the Burma restaurant in Chinatown, and it's a meetup, and people come together, and there's no fee or anything like that, but we come to discuss about the community, what can be done about Chinatown, or just people who are new in the area who want to network, as well as even singles. They get to actually meet possible dates. So, right.
So you're also a matchmaker, right?
I won't say that. I don't do the actual matchmaking, but they just come to meet for different reasons. And so that organization has really taken off with the help of Dr. Diane Tai, actually. And so what that we meet, and they gave an award to me, and I'm really humbled by that.
That's great.
So another one was a community award, once again, for being very active in the community. One of the things I used to do in the capacity of commissioner was doing mediations between Asian businesses and District of Columbia residences, which are dominantly African American, and there are sometimes misunderstandings that happen.
Sure.
So in order to alleviate the misunderstanding, whether it's cultural or language, we have given classes as well as training to the Asian businesses to get them more acquainted with the culture as well as the different ways of handling customers. So that has really worked out well.
I can imagine, you know, you're in an ideal situation to be working with Asian American businesses because you're the owner of a business as well, and to be able to be sensitive to both sides. So let me ask you this one last question then. What does John do when John is not running for office, running the city, running his restaurant? What does John do for fun?
Full of running around for during the free time. Next month, which is actually the month of May, there will be the Dragon Boat Race. And so I'm training for that. Last year I did it for the first time, and my team or our team actually got the gold. So
wow.
we have a lot of responsibility or pressure to win again this year. Other than that, I'm also going to be at the Washington National Opera at the Kennedy Center, performing in a very small role at the piece Richard Strauss's Electra. So, and that I'll be playing a Marine, and they wanted a 6 feet tall Asian Marine-looking person. So I guess I fit.
So you fit the
role.
mold.
Yeah,
well, sounds like a lot of exciting things. You never sit still. So wish you well, and thank you so much for joining.
Thank you, Jenny.
That concludes our show for today. My appreciation to Christina Sue and John Timpey for joining us. And thanks to all of you for being with us as well. Take care, and we'll see you next time.